I'm Natasha, and if you're watching this, I'm going to talk about the planet Saturn. So, to start off with, what is Saturn? So, I like to explain if Saturn was an actual human figure or archetype, Saturn would be a very restrictive, kind of stoic, reserved kind of person. This is the kind of person, if Saturn was a human being, this person would have like 2, 3 outfits in their closet and they would just put that on rotation. They'd only own 1 or 2 pairs of shoes. They would be so focused on working on their craft or whatever they're passionate about every single day, almost all day long, to do the hard work, figure out the setbacks, the hardships, the weird things that they didn't know about before every single day in order to master whatever craft or thing that they are trying to develop, grow, build, whatever it is, into something a lot bigger. And so Saturn energy, if it was like a person, understands this hard dedication that is so freaking slow. It is not short-term fast. It is thinking about longevity, what is going to last the test of time, what is going to be durable and reliable, what is going to build a very strong foundation, this strong basis in order to then build up. But if your foundation is really weak or it was rushed, you didn't think about all the little things and details and all these different outliers that you might not encounter on a regular day basis. And sometimes that just requires experience and life experience, and things in the world also change, and then you have to maneuver around things like that. So Saturn understands this long, very hard, restrictive energy, but it is something that it is willing to work on. It is something that it is passionate about in order to do it. Otherwise, if you don't care about it, usually you have zero motivation to even try, but Saturn understands if you really want something, like you really want it, and it seems so unreachable and far away, well, you still have to start somewhere. You have to figure out the process, try it, actually get out there and try try again, but never quit, never change your mind, not like, oh, I don't think this is for me because it was hard. No, Saturn energy understands that you have to push through hardship. You have to be restricted and squeezed. So Saturn, just like the figure that only owns 2 outfits in their closet, they know that even though they want all these things, they want nice things, they want luxury, like a luxury lifestyle, they want a lot of money, they want status, that you just don't get there if you started from absolutely nothing. They didn't get an inheritance of like, oh, all the work is done, and so you just get to enjoy. That's not Saturn. So Saturn understands that if I want something in the long run that's going to last and be secured or make me feel successful, then I'm going to spend, a period of time or maybe a long time being very restrictive. Like, even though I want something and I have the money to go get it, that doesn't mean I go get it. That's Saturn. It's like, no, I have to restrict right now. I need to save 90% of my income in order to start this business that I'm so devoted to. It is the, Jeff Bezos in an office starting from nothing. It is all these big CEOs that started from nothing and now they're huge empires, but nobody really wants to really look and feel the burden and pain and hardship of the process. but that is Saturn energy. And Saturn takes about 30 years to go through all of the 12 zodiac signs. So that's how slow it is. So everyone experiences their first Saturn return in the age bubble of 30. You might enter your Saturn return lesson around the age 27, 28, and you might think, this is great, this is what I want, or whatever. And then a little bit after the age of 30, 31, 32, 33, it plays out differently based on what lessons are you supposed to be learning, or what did you avoid, or you just didn't quite get it without this real life experience. And so after that, you might have a different shift in perspective. You become more of a real adult, not this paper legal adult, like you're 18, therefore you're an adult in the eyes of the government. As a more mature human being, you've kind of crossed that little mountain of maturity in some way, like another level. Not saying that if you're younger than 30, that you're not mature. That's not what I'm saying. But, you go through this Saturn return approximately every 30 years. Usually Saturn's energy gets a little bit lighter after the age of 40, like around 40 and after, and so it just takes a really long time. It is something you have to work on. If you know what zodiac sign your Saturn is in and what house it is in, you can kind of understand what struggles you're trying to learn. And usually it's very hard. It's not easy for you, or doesn't come easy for you. You always have to work really hard in this department in life, no matter how hard you try, and it'll just keep testing you. Saturn is like the strictest teacher in school, and nobody wants this teacher. But the teacher is that way because that person actually wants you to do really well. Like if you had the strictest teacher in high school and you survived that teacher, and they put all these red marks, all these lines, and you thought you did so well, and you get it back and you're like, I got a freaking D or an F, and there's all these lines, and like, how can I do extra credit or whatever? And you turn it in and you get it back and you get even more red lines. You're like, and then you see Jilly Bo Bob and Sally Mae Sue in the other class with one of the most fun, easy teachers, and they're getting A's and they hardly have to do anything, and you're like, ugh, it's not fair. Like, this teacher is going to ruin my GPA, and I'm not going to be able to get into the college that I want because I just happen to get a really hard teacher. But if you really survived that really strict Saturn teacher who did not take it easy on you because they wanted you to survive, they wanted to teach you the things the right way so well right now while you were under their wing, under their guardianship. So this way, when you're off in the real world where life is actually hard, it's not that bad because you actually went through brutal training under the shelter or mentorship of a teacher, if they actually approached it like a mentor, because I know not all teachers have the time to do stuff like that or care, So, that is Saturn. It is brutal. It's hard. It's nitpicky. It's a pain in the butt. And it keeps kind of like setting you back over and over and over, delays. It makes you end up doing more work. You have to try and fix the work that you already thought you did, and you don't even know what you're doing wrong because you thought you were doing pretty well, and they have to find something else for them to nitpick at you, And so once you go to college or whatever, you survived. It's a piece of cake. College is a piece of cake because you did the brutal training. You're already prepared, while the other Sally Mae Sue, whoever, Billy Joe Bob, went to the easy teacher and now they're struggling. They're making D's and F's, having to repeat classes, pay for more tuition. They're not able to have fun in college and go to parties and stuff because they're so busy now trying to figure it out because they got the easy way in high school. So that's another way to kind of try and comprehend this Saturn archetype, because Saturn is freaking slow. It is no fun. It always has setbacks. It makes you feel really squeezed wherever it is. Like if you have Saturn in the 5th house, the house of fun, house of play, dating, self-expression, it's the Leo house. It's going to be like, I'm not allowed to have fun, you know, and it's all these different outliers that it's not even your fault. It's just, it's happening to you. And it's, or maybe you chose something, you know, you chose to get married and you chose to have a kid. And now you have to be more responsible. There's less time to just go off and have fun and do whatever you want. You have responsibility because Saturn is responsibility, duty, burdens, restrictions, like, oh, we need to go to the doctor's appointment, or, you know, we have to say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't go to this party because my kid is sick and I don't want to get y'all sick, and blah, blah, blah. You know, it is that responsibility, that squeeze, restriction in that house or that zodiac sign, or a mixture of both. So I hope I tapped into everything I wanted to say about Saturn energy. I'm a Capricorn sun, so I understand this sad story of Saturn. It is no bueno, and but it's actually very rewarding because you actually grow, evolve, learn. That builds self-esteem, that builds resilience. You feel proud of yourself that once upon a time, like, I never talked. I'm not curious. I'm an observer. And it took me a long time to practice speaking and feeling comfortable, not having social anxiety, and learning how to ask questions. It sounds really stupid, but that's what happened for me. I have Saturn in the 3rd house of Sagittarius, and I happen to have my Chiron in the opposite, Gemini, in the 9th house. So we'll also check out your Chiron sign in the zodiac sign and the house that one is in, because they kind of might relate to each other. Because your Chiron wound, you tend to want it, or you want to be better at it. And sometimes your Saturn is going to be somewhere to where it might force you to help actually take the time over the years or whatever to kind of slowly build up and work on that Chiron wound placement over time. If you choose to work on it, because you can always choose to run away and escape and not face the reality of the situation, whatever that is for you. So that concludes my intro for Saturn. And in the next segment, hopefully I have time to just timestamp where the real zodiac sign starts. So yeah, check that out. So yeah, and please like and subscribe. Comment down below. What is your experience with Saturn? Most likely it's going to be sucky, sad stories. So just don't forget that you are on a public platform if you're sharing or oversharing. So yeah, okay, bye. If you have Saturn in the sign of Aries, this video is for you. Or if you know someone who has Saturn in Aries or the 1st house, you know, you might get some insight as to where you feel squeezed, or where you have a lot of kind of like, you have to go fix it over and over and over. You have like burdens here or challenges here. It's not easy. So we have to think, what is Aries? Aries rules the 1st sign of the zodiac. So competition, trying to be number one, being courageous, being independent, being like a warrior, taking a leap of faith, taking big risks, not being afraid of just trying it out and falling flat on your face and breaking all your teeth. Just joking, hopefully not. But Saturn, or not Saturn, Aries is this Mars energy. It's like warrior. It's also argumentative, assertive, also knowing what you want, not being wishy-washy, indecisive, like the opposite sign of Libra. Aries is like, this is what I want, and I want it, and I want it now. And so you might have some struggles or indecision, or like, like you feel like you can't really be as bold and courageous as you'd want to, because there's maybe family or situations that kind of prevent you from just doing that, or just taking a big bold risk. There's you want to, but maybe you're scared, or you're like, oh my God, like if I fall flat on my face, it's like embarrassing to the family, or it's just too risky, it's too scary for whatever reason. You could have grown up in a childhood, for example, that maybe your parents, they did everything for you, and they did it with the love of their heart, and they just couldn't help themselves. They just ended up kind of doing a little bit too much for you, instead of allowing you to be independent and learn how to do things for your own. So now, growing up, and sometimes stuff like that, it takes a really long time to unlearn stuff from your childhood conditioning. And so now, over time, you have struggles just doing things on your own, because you always had someone else to do it for you, or they kind of just miss, because they automatically did things for you. They were not able to teach you things or give you perspectives on things, or you didn't have that experience of just doing something and failing, and then realizing, oh, no, this way is better in the long run, because you have that personal experience. So that can be like a challenge for you, that you have to now kind of push through this Saturn placement in the sign of Aries, which is also the physical body. So you could have kind of like challenges with your physical body, like your looks or your weight or your aesthetics, or putting on muscle mass, or just your eating habits. So I always love to look at your childhood conditioning, because that is like a foundation for a good chunk of people. Like, you just can't help but kind of repeat the patterns of your foundation, even though you do not like it. You can like it or not, but trying to unlearn that, or break free from the things that you want to leave behind, and you want to evolve and change the things that you want to change, is not always easy. It takes years to do so. I remember when I was growing up, I did ballet for like 16 years. And in elementary school, I had a problem. I literally weighed myself almost every single commercial break, in between cartoons. I know there's not normal TV like back in the early 90s, but back then, literally every single commercial break, I did that. And learning how to eat better, because my family, they're trying to be on a diet. They don't know what they're doing. So to me, since I don't ask questions as a Chiron and Gemini person, it's like, why would I ask people who don't even know what they're doing? So I can't ask them for the answer. So I try to figure it out myself, and that's also my stupid Aries moon. But you have to slowly learn how to possibly work on your health, work on your physical body, learn how to eat better, learn how to just do any kind of physical activity, period, if that's where you're starting, or going to the gym and actually lifting weights, trying to build more muscle. Therefore, you're going to burn more fat. You're not going to turn into She-Hulk if you're a female and scared. It just doesn't work that way. But that takes a long time to try and build that lifestyle, to unlearn the things that you grew up with that is not going to put you on the path or direction of where you want to go or who you want to look like or how healthy you want to be. So those are things that take a really long time, and it takes dedication, skill, routine, focus on technique, that's those Saturn things to really build a good foundation. Like for me, ballet is very technical, detail oriented. I have to say it's a very good foundation for kids, especially females. If you're kind of weirded out with your boys, probably martial arts of some sort for them if you're kind of weird about it. But all the guys in ballet, they have huge legs, and they're super strong, and you don't have to be gay to be in ballet, I think I rhymed, but it's a really good foundation, and then it's not about the ego or doing grandiose things because of your ego. You're doing it as a movement that you have perfected in technique. So that is a lot of that Saturn energy is protecting, working on your craft at a very detail-oriented, slow pace to really build a foundation to where when you become a master, you can do all kinds of stuff with so much control and poise that it looks effortless. But someone who's just starting out saying, oh yeah, I want to be a professional ballerina or whatever, for example. And they're like, oh, I'm going to be just like that. It's like, well, that person has started since they were like 4 or 5 years old and never stopped. And probably practiced anywhere from 3 hours a week starting out all the way up to like 20, doing rehearsals and all kinds of stuff every single week, outside of school and stuff. So just imagine the amount of time and effort that it takes to like work on your physical body. If Saturn for you is putting some kind of focus on yourself, your personality, it could be your head and your physical body. You have to work on it, so things like that. Otherwise, can go back and review independence, being assertive, going after what you want, or being very decisive about what you want, not being too indecisive to where you miss opportunities that might not come back to you. So you have to sometimes you have big decisions that you need to make, and there's a time period because Saturn is also time. There's a time crunch, and you have to make a big executive decision, which way you're going to go, which way is going to give you the most positive outcomes for what you're particularly looking for in the long run. It might not feel that great right now in the bubble. It might be a hot mess. You have to work out a lot of twinges and weird stuff. It turned into a hurricane. But now you have a choice, and you have to make a quick choice, and you need to do it right now. And you might hurt a lot of people, or a lot of people might not like you. Like if you have a ton of employees and you have to lay off a bunch of people, and that's not fun or easy. And a lot of people are going to give you terrible emails, and say like, you ruined my life, and giving you all their sad stories of, I have 20 children and now we're all on the streets because of you. You have to make that executive hard decision, and it's not easy. And so this is all that Saturn archetype. And Aries is a very boss, entrepreneurial type energy, wants to be free, wants to escape and have freedom, be able to do what they want whenever they want, and be passionate about what they're doing. So you might have restrictions or challenges regarding those concepts. It doesn't have to be all of them, but these things, they are like, you feel restricted by them in whatever way, whether that is within yourself or within your own mind, and you're just kind of deceiving yourself, or you're literally surrounded in an environment where you feel restricted and confined, and it's not easy for you to just leave, be like, oh, I'm moving out because I need to get away from you people, and y'all are crazy and you're holding me back. Some people can do it, and they're brave, bold, and they have no money, and they leave a toxic family environment, or the family doesn't even have to be toxic at all, but they just kind of, no, stay with me, stay longer, or, like, why are you leaving me alone? Like, you don't care about me. And you're like, oh, okay, but like, I really want to work on my project or my thing that I want to do, and that takes time, and I want to be free. And in order to do that and start a business or whatever, I can't just be here holding your hand watching cartoons all the time, and you're like 100 years old, and maybe they do need your help and stuff, so maybe you feel restricted by that, like, okay, this is someone who really needs me or whatever, but you feel restricted in some kind of way, restricted from your independence, your courage, being like a warrior or brave, or wanting to start a business. You might feel restricted in some kind of way, or with your physical body. So it depends on how it's playing out for you. But yes, hopefully you got some insight on this. Please like and subscribe, share with someone who might benefit from this, even if they are not a Saturn and Aries person. It is just interesting perspective, if anything, and something that you can always work on if you are willing, because if you don't have the will to do it, you're just not going to do it. And a lot of things that people really want in life, it takes a lot of work. It's not instant gratification. It's not this dreamy facade that people post on social media that they're so happy and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes, when people are really doing the work, they are cut off from society. They're in their little cave. They're working on their stuff. There's nothing to really show off because it looks pretty bad. And that is where the magic is actually cooking and boiling, and then all of a sudden they come out from nowhere, and people don't expect it, and thought that, oh, they just did this in like a really short period of time, when they've been working, thinking about it, planning, trying over and over and over again for like their entire life, and it finally happened for them. So, yes, I hope you enjoyed my video, my analysis on Saturn in Aries, and please check out my website. The link is down below, www.natashascreativewellness.com. I have merchandise in there, and if you're interested in a birth chart reading, I do a pre-recorded reading, and you can see what my perspective is for you. So, bye-bye. So high, so high, so high. All angels sing from up above. You know